Imagine I was to lose every single funded account and challenge account I currently own, from nearly 1 million in funding to zero, and had to start completely from scratch. No funded accounts, no payouts, zero shortcuts. I'm going to rebuild an exact roadmap how I would trade going into prop firms in 2026. Not just about the choice of prop firms, but the market frameworks and risk parameters to give you the best chance of succeeding to make trading a full-time income. And some of these decisions might just surprise you.
First thing to decide is, in 2026, do you want to trade with futures or CFDs? Even just 2 or 3 years ago, there wasn't even really an option to trade with futures. Futures has kind of took over the prop firm game. Nowadays, we're seeing so many new ones come in at more competitive prices, and overall, it looks like more opportunity. Now, I'm not going to sit to decide which is better, CFDs or futures. I think they both have massive advantages in their own lanes. You should decide what type of trader do you want to be. Because if you want to be a scalper, then the option's there for futures due to the fact you're not going to be hit with as many fees as CFDs. And I think for traders on a session, especially like a 1 hour window, they're trading on up to the 5 minute, I do think futures is probably better suited to you. However, CFDs have their own benefits. Of course, if you are more of a day trader, you're not scalping on the lower time frames or even holding over the week, I recommend CFDs. Of course, if you're going to go into futures, you've got to understand that you're going to go for a much lower fee per account. However, at the same time, the restrictions of rules is a lot higher than CFDs. The more friendly approach would be CFDs and would be a more lower frequency trading approach. I think traders would benefit more in CFDs to start with than going into futures. However, with more experience, futures can work well for traders. Let's go into the next one now. We're looking at the prop firm selection. Now, of course, we're going to stay in the CFD lane now because this is what I do. And we're going to look at the prop firms that I recommend, the top 3. So I would always recommend a top 3. The reason why I'm not going to say just stick with one is because diversification is important. At the minute, in the CFD space, number 1 for me is the Fivers. I've not done an update really on prop firms over the past half a year. However, Fivers is the best. The reason why, they've updated their platform, and even if you are on futures, they've got futures now. FTMO is still up there. I'd probably place them second, but the Fivers is solid, and there's many different account types you can go with the Fivers, and it's friendly for beginners or even more experienced traders, and that's what I like about the Fivers, and they've never deviated in the last year. There's no rule that I've seen with the Fivers that has made my trading experience harder, and I value that. FTMO is great. Of course, I would recommend, if you are looking to be a more day trader, just go for the standard account. I don't really think step 1's beneficial. I think step 2 is the way to go. I think step 2 teaches you the right principles of how to take time through a challenge. But of course, options there for phase 1 now, or one phase, so to speak. That's the way traders like to go, and I know that 3-step has also become a big thing in the industry. Funded next to a great firm. I'm not really going to knock them. I've had payouts from them, and these 3 I've all had verified payouts from. Therefore, I can vouch for them a lot more than other prop firms. So I would say stick to 2 or 3 to begin with, diversify. This step of the roadmap is so important in regards to deciding how you're going to operate as a trader, because you're going to have to work around the rules that these prop firms have set. This is going to be taken with a pinch of salt because you know that prop firms can always change their rules. However, these prop firms are important, and you want to try and align the 3 as much close together as you can in regards to what their rules are and the accounts that you decide to go for, because your whole strategy is going to a degree have to be based on the rules that are set by prop firms, which is already placing a restriction on how you can trade. And this is why deciding on these firms to start with is so important, and also understanding that until you look to get max allocated with the best firms, don't start going for firms with 50% discounts, even buy one get one free offers. Next selection is strategy framework, the most important part of the whole video, I'd say, in regards to building up a way of trading that suits you. And this one is very debatable, and I've tried all 3. Back in my time, I've tried all 3. I'm going to talk through the pros and cons of each one, because at the end of the day, it's up to you, and traders do have different personalities. I would always approach the markets now, with prop firms especially, with a mechanical approach. The reason why mechanical would work the best is because you can actually backtest it. You can verify the results over years. You can understand your idea of what a max drawdown would be based on data that isn't biased towards how you would view the chart. I think mechanical gets a little bit twisted in the industry, that people see the front end of mechanical strategies and believe they can't be profitable in the long run because they don't adapt. But there's a lot more to a mechanical strategy than just the front end. You've got the back end of the mechanical strategy, which is really where the edge is made, and that's where the edge is built. But
Not many traders will trade mechanically because I think ultimately traders like the decision of what they think the market is going to do. However, I would say for a trader that's getting into prop firms, it is probably the most dangerous thing that is really stopping them from being profitable and also just failing so many accounts. Mechanical strategy, you can actually define risk for it as well. And this is what I'd recommend the most because it's the easiest to scale. And I'm only speaking through this by experience that the approaches of discretionary, I was never profitable with full discretion. No mechanics at all. I was always struggling in my trading with this approach. And it's because I simply did not have enough data to feel confident in my strategy. And that's a big thing when it comes to confidence, especially when trading prop firms. Now, hybrid, this is what I was trading and I currently still kind of am trading up to this point. This has worked well for me. However, I have hit a bit of a roadblock with the hybrid approach. And I think that it's great for traders that are getting into prop firms. However, eventually, if you're looking to scale into like the 7 figures of funding, you need an approach that you can actually quantify. The problem I find the most with discretion, even if it's hybrid and part discretion, is there's always a reason why in hindsight that your trade didn't work out that isn't bound to the next trade. And it can always be individualized. And that in itself makes you feel like you're making progress when you're journaling it. And I spoke about this in my last video. To an extent, it takes a certain trader to trade a discretionary model. And even when it comes to hybrid, being able to feel confident when you're making decisions in the moment that make you go on huge loss streaks, you don't know how long this loss streak could last, even in its worst period, because you can't fully backtest a hybrid model. It all depends on hindsight. So I would take the mechanical approach, and I think that's the best for traders. And yes, it is going to mean your backtesting period will last longer and you won't be jumping into the live market as fast. But what do you want? Do you want to spend 3 months on a mechanical strategy and find that in a year you're profitable and you're multiple 6 figures funded? Or do you want to spend a month or even 2 weeks trying to test out in the live market discretionary or hybrid approaches that down the line you're eventually going to hit a huge roadblock because you don't fully back the system you're trading? And if we're going to go now into risk deployment, this is more for the challenge phase. The sweet spot for me is 2.4%. But I'm not going to go above 2% in this. They tell you you've got a max daily loss of 5%, but you start taking maybe, I don't know, let's say GU and EU, and you take buys on both and you're risking 2.4%, you're still within the max daily loss, but they're telling you that you're putting 5% on one overall macro theme, which I understand. Or it's not just that, it can be down to more things such as commissions and swaps, taking your trade from maybe a 2% risk to a higher. So the 2% leaves a buffer for you to be able to lose a little bit more based on the market conditions and with getting slipped, etc. 2.5 is what I've done in many challenges before. The lower risk of 1 to 1.5, the biggest problem I have with it is it just takes you too long to pass. And you get too set on one individual account. And I've never liked the idea of just sticking on one account. And we're going to speak about that in a minute. The risk deployment of 2% allows you to pass in half the R that you would at 1%. And based on you already creating the strategy framework, you'll understand. And when you really internalize the fact that you're not going to make 5% a month, you will do really well to make an average of 2% a month over a 10-year period. And even those traders are exceptional traders. So yes, even at 2% risk, don't be worried or concerned if it is taking you 6 months to pass a challenge. This will be so contrary to most traders that are telling you to pass a challenge, you want to fail it or pass it within a month. Of course, it comes down to the trade frequency as well. Already though, based on the fact you're not on the lower time frames, you're already going to be limited of opportunity. So I don't think necessarily a 2% risk is bad. The issue with a high trade frequency based on your strategy of a 2% risk is you could easily blow accounts after accounts. And I understand that I'm not talking here to a trader that's already a full-time trader. We're talking about traders that are at the beginning of their prop firm journey. And when traders are at the beginning of their journey, they don't have money to just keep absolutely hammering challenges and losing on huge loss streaks. And that's where traders get lost, is that they're trying to risk 2% on a strategy that's a 5R, thinking they can pass in one trade. However, the reality is of a 1 to 5 risk to reward strategy over the long term is you're going to encounter multiple 10 loss streaks, so you can blow multiple challenges in a row. And traders don't have the money to be putting in at the beginning like that, and that's the truth of it. So the sweet spot's 2% for me, work around 1 to 2%, but personally 2% has worked well, and I do see a lot of traders benefiting from a bit higher risk. This does not mean you follow this through into the funded stage. Next, looking at the scaling model.
When you first get funded, it's all about, can I actually do it? Afterwards, it becomes a completely different ball game. Of course, the biggest one I want to start with is low risk. I would highly recommend, and this is what I've done, and I've not blown one prop firm account since getting funded, apart from being banned by a firm, in 2 years. So I'm speaking from this as well from experience, that a 0.5% risk on the funded stage allows you to not think too much about the money you're going to make and get used to going in drawdown on a funded account and get used to getting payouts as well. It's such an important metric. No one's really discussing. Yes, you can make a lot of money. You've got the 5% daily loss. Doesn't mean that you need to use it. The biggest downside to traders that I see is just the churn. You're going to get funded, you get payout, you lose your account. Get funded, get a payout, lose your account. Psychologically, you can't go on for that over years and years. If you're going to take the approach of getting funded, at least try and stay funded. If you don't want a low risk, there's also an option for funded account rotation. Funded account rotation is so key. It's a way of diversifying risk. So if you're not going to stick on low risk and you want to stick on a bit high risk on the funded account, split your risk across assets. And this is something that now I'm approaching the market with, is that I'm not looking to just be within FX. I'm looking to diversify into potentially metals, indices, cryptos. That's the options you have, or even commodities within the market of prop firms. So make sure you're looking at diversifying and also understanding that if you set certain assets to certain accounts, you then are diversified in a different way that you otherwise would. And that can be a good approach. And then the final one would be, once you are funded, getting payouts, dollar cost average into your challenges. This allows you to not be set on one specific account getting passed. Traders will trade their first ever challenge like it's the end of the world if they blow the account. And it is a numbers game. And there's a fine line between it being a numbers game and being a gambling game. However, this is why I've chosen the steps above to help you out with understanding how to build this rather than just going into it blind. And that's why the scaling model is so important, is it? Because it doesn't really discriminate if you're at a 5k funded, 50k funded, or 500k. The same applies, because reinvesting into the business is so important. You are not going to make a living off a small amount of funding. I've already spoken about it before. You are putting too much pressure on an individual account. And something I've always recommended is diversifying. Once you're getting funded, you're scaling up with prop firms. This is where you can start to look at different alternatives like Darwin X Zero. They've just updated their dashboard or website, so to speak. And I'm going to talk through a little bit about what they do, and if you do want to get involved, how you can do that. So starting off here, we do have the fact that Darwin X Zero don't shy away from the fact they've already invested $500 million into traders. And this is through sourcing investors to put money into them, of course. What they're looking at, and this is why my content especially has took a shift, is that I'm not here to discuss the next month or even the next year. Realistically, if you're going to be in this game for decades, this is a career for you, and you've got to take it seriously like it is one, and not just assume that the next month determines your future, because it's not true at all. And the best thing about it is that they're not trying to put pressure on you to start with. It says here, learn, grow, develop, and then evolve to receive that capital that you're looking for. Over 16 million in traders' performance fees earned, which is kind of crazy. If you think about how many traders are actually with Darwin X Zero, I think it said above here about 10,000 plus. So if you actually look at that through the number of people that are there, how many of them are getting that performance fees, it's going to be very few of them. So the ones that are doing well with Darwin X Zero are doing very, very well. Also looking here onto the community, we can see here that discussing ideas and strategies in Discord. So they also have that community aspect with development sessions to actually help you as a trader get better and develop. So that's good to see as well. And it says here, trading based on merit, no cherry picking, develop, then earn more. There is no restrictions when you are looking to get that seed allocation as well. Here you can see a few quotes of different Darwins and the returns they've acquired over X amount of years. Sometimes here we're looking at decades. This isn't 200% in a year. This is 200% over 10 years. That's the difference here we're looking at. And this is really where the traders that survive are. And if we finish off down the bottom, just going on to how much memberships are, of course, showing you guys that it is affordable. And if you can buy prop firm accounts and you're doing well, there's no reason to not invest in Darwin X Zero here. So depending on what you trade and how you trade, there's different options for all of them. We have a monthly plan, a yearly plan, or a 3-yearly plan. Discounts on all of those with my discount as well. So yeah, make sure you guys get involved, pick the right plan for you, and invest into your future. Highly recommended. And it tells you what the membership benefits are as well there. So you can have a little look at those and decide if it's worth it for you. And realistically, that's how easy it can be in 2026 to get funded and stay funded.
but you have to stick in your lane. That's probably the most important key takeaway I'd want you to obviously use going into trading, is that stay in your lane and don't look outside of what you're doing, because traders out there will always look like they're doing better, but you don't know how much they're putting into props, what they're doing shady outside of that, and also what their motives are. So just make sure that you take this in, use it in a way that suits you, not that suits me, because my approach is different to yours, and really just try and maximise playing the long game, because playing the long game is the most important thing with props. And being here 2 years later after first getting funded and still being funded to me is the most important thing, because it means that even with peaks and troughs in my trading, the ability to get payouts is still present. And I'm not playing that chasing game, trying to get more funding, trying to get more payouts, because the challenges are running in the background. I'm not rushing them. They take as long as they take, and I stick to my approach. And if you want to know a bit more how I deploy risk, I do have my free playbook in the description as well. Make sure you get involved with that. See you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.